What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 Ultimates review, jumping into a new wave and a new property. Well, mostly a new property. We did take a look at an SDCC exclusive figure last year, but the actual wave is here finally. So we're taking a look at Ultimates G.I. Joes, and I just have to start with Cobra Commander, because he's, outside of the ones in this wave, he's the one I'm most curious about. The Bat's up there too, but after getting that comic version, I kind of know what to expect, so I have to take a look at the big bad first. Now, he comes in our standard style Ultimates packaging in both shape and size, so it's that trapezoidal shape, and then it's a pretty normal size packaging because he's a regular size figure. Now, he comes in a pretty cool looking motif though, so the packaging for these are all camouflage, they're all foiled out, they give you like this idea of, say, like a worn and used ammo canister or dog tag, something like that. So you've got the slipcover with the Cobra logo on the front, and you've got the G.I. Joe logo kind of emblazoned on the back. Pop that slipcover off, and you've got Cobra Commander there in the big window, the Joe logo up top. You've got a dog tag for Cobra Commander's nameplate down on the bottom, and then the back of the box gives us like a computer screen readout from the cartoon with shots from the cartoon as well as a bio for Cobra Commander. So I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. I like the packaging style, I like the idea that they're trying to sell here. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, Super 7 Ultimates G.I. Joe Wave 1 Cobra Commander. So, you know, we're taking a look at the big bad first, and this is, again, the cartoon version. So that's what the whole point of this line is. It's to give us cartoon interpretations of G.I. Joe. You know, something that you probably don't have a lot of on your shelf. Certainly not something that leans this heavily into the cartoon aesthetic while also providing, you know, a million weird and very deep-cut cartoon accessories. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. Overwhelmingly, I'm really happy with this figure. There is one area where I am left, again, scratching my head with why he is cut up this way. So let's take him for a spin. We've got a head that has really, really good articulation. I'm really happy with this. This is a head that probably has some of the most range in Ultimates in general. Really far up, really far down, crazy, crazy tilt, and you've got full swivel there. Arms out at the shoulders. My shoulders are kind of tight, but I don't feel like I'm going to break him or anything. Rotation, of course, bicep swivel there, single jointed but 90-degree elbow, and then you've got vertical hinges and rotation at the wrists. This is the area where I am concerned because I don't know why. I don't know why he's cut up this way. He has an ab crunch, and I'm not against ab crunches, you know, at face value. They're fine. They work. He goes backwards slightly, but that's all he does. Like, he just goes this. Like, it's not functional. There's no reason for him to even have this cut, I don't think. He does have what seems to be a small ball peg waist down here. So forward and backward, a little bit of tilt and then rotation, but that movement forward, backward, and side to side is really not going to help you. It's not going to do anything. I would much rather him not have the ab crunch and just be a single, you know, buck torso. I've said it before, Mythic Legion style torsos are more than okay for me with these style of figures in this size and this style. I think it would work. I think it would be fine. Give me some movement, and then you wouldn't have to cut this up because this big cut wouldn't have to be here. Legs out only this far. Not that, I mean, it's not a big problem. I don't need Cobra Commander doing the splits. I probably would have him do it if he could, but he can't. Kick forward all the way. Nothing backwards. You do have thigh twist up there. Single jointed, 90-degree knees. That's okay. I'm happy with that. There is, you know, a little bit of shimmy there, but not a whole lot. You don't need it. And then we've got hinges down at these ankles. What I'm really happy to see is that I was really concerned that he was going to be super locked down because he's got like these stirrup things that come down. They're flexible, so you can still use your ankle rocker just fine, and it's actually a really good rocker too. It's kind of crazy that this guy has fairly solid and fairly robust articulation. Again, for an Ultimates figure, you know, let's not sugarcoat it. They are locked into a certain scheme. He would be so much better if he had a better torso and waist. Otherwise, I do think he moves really well within the confines of Ultimates and the limitations imposed on this line with the single elbows and single knees. He moves about as good as you're going to get. Now, visually, design-wise, I think for the most part, they nailed him. This is, again, supposed to be the cartoon version, and I mean, looking at him right now, this is clearly something that jumped right out of the show. I'm really happy with the overwhelming majority of what we see here. Colors look good. Paint, for the most part, is pretty good. I do have a couple little gripes, Well, one of them, I guess, is a little gripe in a big way, but we'll get to that. One thing I want to start talking about, though, is the cape, because obviously I put the cape on him. I didn't have it on him previously, just because it does kind of get in the way when you want to move him around and show him off. It doesn't actually get in the way of, his articulation. Fully wired, the one thing I would gripe about when it comes to the cape, though, is that it doesn't actually attach to the figure, and I don't know how it would either without having some sort of strap going across, so maybe they could have done that. But it does sit on him just fine. Obviously, you can see it's not going anywhere. And it is, maybe to the surprise of some, pink. And I know that Cobra Commander had other capes, or at least another one. I know if you do a quick search for a Cobra Commander cape, more often than not he's going to be shown with a black and red one. But this is also what I think of when I think of Cobra Commander in the show wearing a cape. So I'm pretty happy with this. He's a very progressive terrorist, so he has a nice, slightly dark pink cape, and it looks good. It's sized well. It's fully wired, so it flows really nicely. You can, of course, get it up and out of the way. And despite the fact that it doesn't actually attach to him, it does sit on him pretty fine. So I am happy with that. I'm going to take it off for now just to get it out of the way for the sake of showing everything else off. But I think for the figure itself, I think he looks good. Colors are nice and bright and vibrant. The blues are very, very accurate because he does, of course, have that shirt underneath with the lighter blue. And then he's got his actual, military outfit that has the darker blue. What I'm going to gripe about there, though, is the fact that his Cobra logo, I swear this thing is way too small. If you look at the actual animation, and maybe this is one of those things that sort of varies from scene to scene or episode to episode, but I recall this being a lot bigger in the show. It does look really, really small. I feel like it should be, maybe like 20% larger, and I would have been happier with it. It does look good, though. Like the tampo, I'm sure it's tampo work. It is nicely done. It's clean. It's crisp. Nice and red contrast to that blue. He does have like the dual belt thing going on, which is kind of weird. I've always thought that was kind of odd. So he's got that gray belt, and then he's got the actual belt with the little triangle doodad belt buckle there. The blacks for the gloves, for the boots, nice and bright, and have a different finish too. They're shinier, they're a little bit glossier, which I guess, it makes sense for his particular outfit. In many ways, this guy is kind of a basic Ultimates kind of figure because he doesn't have a real crazy design. Like, he's literally just wearing a military-esque uniform. It all comes down to the little details, the colors, the overall, little bits and bobs on him as far as the belt buckle, the little things on his collar, whatever you would call that. And then, of course, the helmet for Cobra Commander, I think, is really, really well done. If I have a gripe on him, it's that the paint on the top is not the cleanest. Not the biggest deal to me, because, of course, it's on the top. When I'm looking at it, it looks just fine. What I really like, though, is that mask and the neck. The argument's always going to be there that I probably would have loved to have seen them go crazy and do vac metal on that, but at the same time, I don't really care anymore at this point. I just want it to be metallic enough, and it really is. Like, it definitely has a nice shine to it, has some luster to it, and it looks good. He's a pretty solid-looking Ultimates figure. He is a little maybe on the tall side. We'll do some size comparisons, or maybe these figures in general are just slightly taller, because, of course, these are meant to scale with themselves, not necessarily every other Ultimates out there. But I do think he looks really nice. The colors are good. The colors are bright and vibrant. I like the cape. I like the fact that it's a pink cape. It's goofy, and that works really well. It's a goofy pink cape on this incredibly evil terrorist leader. So, of course, there's some stuff going on there. But he looks good. I'm happy with the way he turned out. And, of course, it is, again, maybe slightly a more basic Ultimates compared to some of the other crazier character designs out there. But as far as cartoon accuracy goes, I think they pretty much got it. And then for our size comparisons, let's do other Ultimates. And this is really what tipped me off to the fact that he does seem to be a little on the tall side. Again, I don't assume that every Ultimates line is going to scale with every other Ultimates line. That's not necessarily the goal here, I believe. But this is definitely tall. Like, I don't know that he should be taller than Lion-O. Lion-O's not super, super tall, but he's also not shorter than a normal human, I don't think, right? I mean, he's a cat man. I feel like he should be a little bit taller. And then, of course, we've got a turtle here to show that the turtles, as always, are smaller than everything. And then let's do a classified series. Well, it has to be a Cobra Commander. The Snake Supreme Cobra Commander. So you've got him there, and of course, different scale entirely, but it gives you an idea of how these look next to Hasbro's current stuff. And then let's take Leo aside, and let's do a figure arts. There is Superhero Piccolo. Let's take
this guy aside, and let's do a Mythic Legions. Here's a smaller Mythic Legions. There's a Goblin for you. And one more. Let's do an Animal Warrior. An AWOC figure, so there's Tiberius, and he's about the same size. That's a really good indicator of exactly how big this guy is. I feel like he's slightly tall for what he is, but at the same time, I mean, I think it works just fine, especially if you're going to keep your Ultimates Joes in line with a lot of other Ultimates. Most of them will match up just fine. Now for accessories, Cobra Commander is pretty well stacked. There's a lot of stuff in this box, and in typical fashion for a lot of Ultimates, it's some deep cut kind of esoteric things in many ways. Some of it's very obvious, but there's some stuff here that, you know, I'm not a G.I. Joe expert, so there's just some stuff that I don't exactly know what it is. But there's a lot of cool stuff here. So to start with, we do get an extra head sculpt. It's on him right now. And you can see like the main difference here is that it doesn't have the stripe on the top. This is more in line with like, you know, original vintage stuff. So it's more of a toy head, which I think, you know, works fine. It gives you an option. Of course, we don't get the classic Cobra Commander actual like fabric mask. You know, we've had plenty of controversy over whether anybody's ever going to get that again. And at this point in time, it just doesn't seem like Hasbro's going to let that happen, at least not from Super7. So we've got these two heads to deal with. We do get a bunch of hands with this guy too. In the box, he's got trigger finger hands on him. They are vertically hinged. You get some other gripping hands to accommodate different types of accessories. So he's got some things that are larger and smaller. You get a much, much larger right trigger finger hand here. And we get a left gripping hand, but it's not a trigger finger hand, and it's like a really wide grip hand. So there's just a lot of space there because he does have some oddly shaped stuff, basically, is what it comes down to. We get a splayed finger hand. It's a right hand. You get a right pointing finger hand. We get a gripping hand, which is just a hole. It's just a hole in it for a very specific accessory. And then you get a set of fists also, and we get a very specific hand that has a peg in it to hold my favorite accessory in this whole pack. So this is from like one of the old video game ad, the Cobra that's wrapped around the globe. I just love this. I think it's just a gnarly looking accessory. The detail on it is really good. It sits in the hand really nicely. The paint is really clean and crisp, and he holds it really well. I mean, holds it in the sense that it fits and it you know, hangs on him nicely without being too heavy. This is probably how I'm going to display him, or what I'm going to use on my shelf, because I just think it's really cool. It very much sells the idea of what Cobra Commander, you know, is trying to achieve there. And then we get all the other like actual weaponry and gear and things like that. So we get some Cobra brand binoculars. And he has one of those hands, this one right here, is kind of more in line with gripping these. So a lot of the hands are molded in such a way to hold certain accessories. So you've got this one, and of course, you know, you can put it around his neck if you want and have it dangling down. Cobra brand, except no substitutions. We get a little pistol. And when it comes to the guns, this is some of the stuff that I don't really remember what it is. You get one pistol. We get another pistol that is actually done up with Cobra colors and Cobra branding. So again, you need the matching set. We get this goofy looking gun. I don't remember what this is, but it's got like a reticle on the back that has like an animal on it or something. Somebody in the comments right now is typing to tell me what this is, I'm sure. We get a very, you know, standard cartoon Sunbow looking rifle. Navy blue with just a little bit of gray on it. We get this, I believe, is like a remote detonator. More Cobra branding. We get the Synthoid. That's right, Synthoid neutralizer. This is like the little clone copy things they make. Like Destro makes this because they made a copy of him or whatever, if I remember correctly. So you get that. And then we also get, lastly, the Cobra staff, which has a nice gold metallic paint job to it. Good sculpt. Nice sizing too, and that is what the hand that has just the hole is for. So this hand right here is meant specifically so you can pop this in, and he's never going to let go of that. It's not going to come out because it's meant for this specific weapon. So I do like what he has here. Again, just like everybody else, I would have loved to have gotten that other masked head sculpt. I probably would have used that forever. But in lieu of that, I do think we have a lot of good accessories here. He comes with a bunch of stuff. I mean, I'm sure some of it is a lot more deep cut than I think it is. Probably, well, maybe not because I just don't know. But there is a lot of cool stuff here, and again, I can't get over the fact that we have this. It's awesome, it's great. A bunch of hands, and again, I'm really happy that they tailored a lot of these hands to specific accessories so you don't have to worry about stuff falling all over the place. So yeah, overall, pretty happy with Cobra Commander. I mean, I'm happy with him in almost every way, honestly. My one big hang up is, and is gonna be for a while, I'm sure, that ab crunch. It just doesn't do anything. It's very much like the Green Ranger ab crunch from Power Rangers, but his was far more functional than this. This is very much kind of like how the worst figures were when it comes to their ab crunches. It just doesn't do enough. If it's not going to do enough, leave it out. Otherwise, he does move pretty decently overall. Head range is great. Knee and elbow range is solid for an Ultimates figure. He looks really good. I like the cape. And he comes with just an absurd array of accessories. I mean, there's always stuff with Ultimates that I just don't really get the references to, and this is definitely an instance of that. I know some of it, but I definitely don't know all of it because there's so many deep cut things involved with this line that are just kind of outside of my knowledge base, I suppose. But it's cool to really get all this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of wacky stuff in this package. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super 7 Ultimates G.I. Joe Wave 1 Cobra Commander. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.